Welcome back to GMP Scenario, presented by PharmaContentLabs.com.
You know how it goes in manufacturing, right? The pressure's on, you've got a deadline, and sometimes a change gets made on the fly. But what happens when that change completely skips the proper approval process? We're about to walk through what can go wrong. And believe me, it's a lot. So here's how we're going to break this story down. We'll start right at the beginning with the discovery, then get into the conflict it causes. We'll talk about the stakes, why this matters so much, then lay out the proper response plan, the assessment, and finally, a really dangerous trap you absolutely need to avoid. All right, first up, the discovery. Our story kicks off right where you'd expect a lot of these issues to pop up, smack in the middle of the production floor, with a quality assurance inspector just doing the routine rounds. Picture this, the inspector's walking the line, watching everything, and something just feels a little off. They've seen this process hundreds of times, but today it just doesn't look the same. It's that gut feeling that says, hang on a second. And that's when they really lean in for a closer look. And yep, it's not just a feeling. The sequence of operations is different. And wait a minute, is that a new hold time between steps? These aren't just little tweaks. These are actual, concrete changes to a validated process. And here is the real kicker. For any change like this, there has to be documentation. There should be a change control number posted or referenced somewhere. But there's nothing. Not a single trace of an approval. And that is when the alarm bells really start going off. So, as you can imagine, this discovery, it kicks off a pretty immediate conflict. You've got the production team's justification on one side and the cold, hard regulations on the other. It's a classic standoff. And when QA asks, what's going on here? They get the classic response. We had to do it. We had to meet our output goals. The pressure was on, so they figured, hey, let's just change the process now and we'll deal with the paperwork later. You know, the old act now, apologize later strategy. This brings us to the absolute core of the issue. When you look at the rules, the good manufacturing practices, or GMP, that govern all of this, is what they did okay? Is it just an understandable shortcut, or is it something much more serious, a formal deviation? And the answer? Well, it's not even a question. It is without a doubt a deviation, period. Full stop. Under GMP, you have to get approval before you make a change. There's just no gray area on this one. Okay, so why is this such a big deal? Why is calling it a deviation so important? Well, it's not just about getting the paperwork wrong. This gets at the very heart of product safety and quality, and the stakes are incredibly high. It all comes down to this really important concept called loss of validated state. A validated process is basically a scientific promise. It's proof that your process works and that it consistently makes a safe and effective product. The second you make an unapproved change, that promise is broken. You're flying blind in an unproven state. And the consequences, oh, they can be huge. That one little change could have a domino effect. It could shift some critical parameter you weren't even thinking about, which could then change the quality of the final product, or worse, its safety. For an inspector, this isn't just a slip-up. No way. This is a massive failure of your entire quality system. So the damage is done. You can't turn back time. What do you have to do right now to handle this? What's the immediate plan? All right, there are 3 things you got to do immediately. No questions asked. First, stop using that unapproved process right now. Second, you have to identify every single batch, every lot that was made using this new process. And third, you have to formally open a deviation report to document everything and kick off a full investigation. Okay, once you've contained the immediate problem, it's time to assess what actually happened. This part is all about a deep, transparent investigation. You need a complete record of what happened, why it happened, and what the real impact was. So what does that look like? Well, you've got to do a side-by-side, a real before and after comparison. What were the parameters before the change? What were they after? And how did that change affect the final product's quality? This data is the only way you're going to figure out the true risk here. And the final report you pull together, it has to be bulletproof. I'm talking a full description of the change and why they thought they needed it, a list of every single impacted lot, a complete risk assessment, and then the disposition. That's the final call on what to do with the product. And maybe most importantly, you need a CAPA, a corrective and preventive action plan, to make sure this kind of thing never, ever happens again. We're rounding the home stretch here, but this last part, this might be the most important. It's about a trap, a really dangerous one that companies can fall into when they're in this mess. It's a shortcut that feels tempting but can turn a big problem into a total disaster. Here's what you absolutely cannot do. Try to cover your tracks. The temptation is to quickly write up the change control paperwork after you've been caught, rush around to get a few signatures, and then backdate everything to make it look like you did it all by the book from the start. Look, the sequence is everything. It's not just about what you do, it's about when you do it. The wrong way, the fraudulent way, is to change the process, then create the paperwork, then backdate it. The only correct way is to create the paperwork, get it approved, and then implement the change. Trying to fake that order is a huge red flag. It all boils down to this one simple phrase that inspectors live by: timing proves control. The timestamps on your documents, the sequence of your signatures, all of that timing is the ultimate proof that you actually have your processes under control. If that timing is off, then from their perspective, you have no control at all. So that really leaves us with one last thing for you to think about. Take a hard look at your own systems. Is your change control process designed to actually prove control from the beginning? Or is it really just a paperwork exercise that's always playing catch up with what's already happening on the floor? The answer to that question makes all the difference.
Thank you for watching. If this helped, like and subscribe. More GMP scenarios coming.